Alright, welcome back to another video. Today we're gonna be looking at just some of the worst parents around, or maybe just an annoying interaction you had with parents. We're looking at r/entitled parents. Used to hate my mother. Maybe still do. Wish she'd go away. My 31 mother, 61, is definitely disorganized attachment. Requires regular reports or else worries. Is mild-mannered most of the time, but will critique certain aspects of my life out of the blue that just bring a bigger rift between us, especially in light of my overlapping disabilities. Her ideas of cleanliness, diet, spending, activity level, posture, and acne when I was younger and doing worse. Most recently, she was scolding my spending habits while she was helping me with rent. She cited 5 objects as examples. 4 were gifts from in-laws, which I would have told her about. 1 was something I bought almost 10 years ago now. She had to bring this up for her mental health. It put me right back to being a kid. It's an exhausting cycle with her. So I stood up to her, pointed out the cognitive dissonance and how it strains our relationship. She finally mentioned maybe getting counseling, and has since been attending some online classes for highly sensitive persons, HSP, and admitted she maybe doesn't really know me, and apologizing for it. Thanked me for my candor, sees it as a growing opportunity. Which cool, great, different outcome. But my taste for our reconnection has soured, and her apologies come off as groveling, so she doesn't have to feel bad. I feel happier when I forget she exists, going about my day. Now she's going on yet another trip somewhere, so whatever day you don't work in the next 4, let's set an alarm, as is important to connect with you, fill up my heart before I leave. Makes me feel more settled. It irks me that it's not a request. She has an elder sister whose health has taken a turn for the worst, but why do I have to be her energy source for her vampirism? Part of me is still the kid who wants to love her, but she didn't know that one either, or care about their needs. Just if she appeared to be a good mother to others. What I thought didn't matter. Dunno. It'd be a relief if she died. I'd be sad, sure, but then the cycle would be done and over. It's a very weird situation with family. Sometimes you love them and sometimes they can be like this, and you just don't want to have to deal with them again. But at the end of the day, it's really up to you. If she does get better and you want to stick around, then that's cool. But if you can't deal with it, that's alright. It may feel bad or something like that, but you always are technically allowed to drop your phone, get a new number, move somewhere else, and never see someone again. Not that that's advice, that's just you're allowed to do it. Mum might cost me my job. To begin, this is currently an ongoing issue. I am 28M and I work in animation. I'm an SFX supervisor and cleanup artist. On occasion, I get to deal with known voice actors, some of which are very famous, and it is my dream job. I love my job and have been in the industry going on 4 years, starting and doing contract work for the company I now work for. Well, about 6 years ago, my mum, who owns a business, the only employees being her and my grandmother, began to inform me that a friend of hers has a daughter who is a fan of the show I work on, and made it abundantly clear she wants me to get signatures from both the staff and voice actors so she can invite her friend to the business and gift the daughter this card on top of me having to purchase a gift to go with it. For context, I am under the impression that the daughter of this other woman is unaware of the proceedings, and the other woman had not requested it. I have never met either of them. This is strictly my mother feeling entitled to signatures and a service that my industry has etiquette and channels to do, but not in the fashion she desired, leading to my current predicament. For those who are unaware, asking for signatures from an individual is not an issue out in the public or in a non-work environment, even sometimes in a work environment. This changes when the signatures are being demanded by an outside force, and the signatures in question belong to the behind-the-scenes staff, animators, creative directors, the CEO, audio engineers, storyboard artists, etc., and the voice talent who are often sourced from a secondary company that has its own contracts. My contract has a few points that roughly translate to do not harass the celebrities for autographs. The solicitation of autographs and sale of autographs outside the company lead to immediate termination, and if you are to request an autograph, it needs to be for you or a direct family member and to go through the proper channels to not cause an issue with the talent agency the celebrity belongs to. So, into the story. My mother got this idea in her head to have me get this girl a sketchbook with a series of signatures of people who work on the show. Then I was to have it sent to her store so she could give it to this girl. I informed her multiple times that not only could I not get the signatures, but I was fairly certain there was contractual reasons I couldn't ask. 6 months of being hounded on the matter, and I break down and jump the gun and ask the boss. The boss got back to me on the 28th of last month, November, and said they would sign off on it if 2 changes were made to my mum's plan. 1. The item that is signed is the Christmas card, not a sketchbook. 2. The card is sent to the girl's house and not used in a public display of endorsement. I agreed, thinking it would not be hard to change my mother's mind if this was indeed to be for a fan, and went about telling my boss, company CEO, creative lead, and one of the nicest people I've ever met. I already had ordered the sketchbook and sought permission to hand the card and the book to the girl, which the boss said it wouldn't be a problem. We just got to let the talent agency and Outparent Studio know what's going on. It should be easy. So, on the 3rd of this month, December, the book arrived, and the studio had turned this into a mini project that they were very excited for, and even sought out the voice actors who signed and left personalized messages. And everyone was excited to not only send the card, but also to hear how excited we made a fan. I called my mum and told her that the team had a few more signatures to get, and the book arrived. Well, think of the response that you would expect. Okay, you got it? It is wrong. I was immediately cursed out, because the purpose of ordering her book was that it would have the signatures in it, and that we, my team and I, are all complete idiots and making her look like a butthole. Which I told her then I should just cancel the project, because this seems like it's more about her ego than to do something for a fan. This made the arguing worst. A small side again about my mother is when she is mad, explanations do not exist, and whatever you say is either not going to be heard or is a lie, despite the evidence. So no matter how much I tried to explain the change in plans or the conditions, this was not going to work. I get in contact with the individual that made this personal job to oversee this go smoothly and told him about the displeasure my mother had and how we handled the issue, while I was still heated after having to endure a raging Karen that had done nothing to get this project off the ground outside of making promises to her friend before I even agreed. This started a chain reaction at work of people not only not wanting to work on the project, but actively requesting the removal of their names from the card. At this time, the boss had left work to go on a month-long sabbatical to deal with the stress they were under, and in my opinion, the disorganization of the studio due to this led to where we are now. Our parent studio had launched an investigation into the project from what I could understand second and third hand individuals. On the 10th December, I was informed I was to talk to HR about the incident, and as a relatively young company, and with our acting CEO being inexperienced in the role, led to possibly the most disorganized HR meeting I have ever dealt with, leading to no real idea what I was in trouble for, but I might lose my job over it. Luckily, the next day, under the preview of a lawyer and HR representatives from our more experienced parent company, I was informed I was being investigated for running a smuggling ring. I was told this was the closest term that could be assigned to the crime. And as I'm writing this, I am sitting on a 1-week unpaid administrative leave, while they are looking into the incident and verifying my account of events and a mountain of screenshots and evidence explaining my side of the story. I ask you once again to think how a parent would respond to their child nearly losing their job to do something for them, or even potentially losing their dream job. If you were paying attention, you would know how my mother had acted, immediately claiming I never worked for the company, that she is the victim and she has never been more embarrassed, proceeding to send me photos of the messages she sent to the girl's mother, explaining how she couldn't make it happen, and she is the one who is embarrassed, outraged, and that once again we, this time the entire company, are all idiots. In the message, this girl is only mentioned once, while her embarrassment, pride, and ego were mentioned no less than 6 times. But we are not done. My grandmother was dragged into the drama, both on my mother's and my part. On my part, because I moved in with my grandmother to make sure she is taken care of while her health is largely unstable. She is currently in very stable and good health, which led me to bring up that I do not desire to head over to my mother's on Christmas to do what we call the front yard exchange of food. She owns 10 dogs in a single floor slab house, and they will not let me or my brother in. My mother, upon hearing this, called me and made it very obvious that she feels not only did she do nothing wrong, but I, facing possible termination from my dream job, losing a week's pay due to being put on administrative leave, having been yelled at for the inability to do the task I told her it was not something I could do, and now escalating it to an internal family feud. I am still uncertain of my future in the animation industry. I am to the point that screaming into the void feels like a legitimate option for my answers. The only thing I know is if I lose my job because of my mother's insistence that I bend to her every demand and desire, where it is costing my job, that I might just vanish from her life. We had an argument like this before, and I left the family. I'm not proud to say it, but my mother missed 12 years of my life. I can see to it I'm far enough away she can miss the rest. I wrote this while tired and angry, so I apologize about grammar and spelling. I am unsure if I should or can upload her reaction to me bringing up the acting CEO and my direct supervisors. I add here the rough explanation I was given on the smuggling ring defined by the HR reps from the parent company. The act of collecting signatures, company property, and/or memorabilia, discarded or otherwise, to sell to an individual or circumventing established procedures to give a non-company individual an unfair advantage /service/information that, while not directly harmful to the company and its procedures for personal gain. I do think there's a little bit of a lack of self-accountability in this. She is definitely an entitled parent. But, if you were really trying to help her do something for this person, you should have just carried on with how the company said it and, have everyone sign the card and send it to that person. The point was to give something to that person, and other people seemed excited about it. And so there was no reason to stop doing it. I'm sure the person still would have loved it, even if it didn't happen the way your mum wanted. You could deal with your mum on your own time. I feel like it hasn't been dealt with completely perfectly on your part. She's definitely a butthole, but just that there are things you could have done to deal with it better. I mean, I hope things work out for you and that you don't have to deal with her anymore, but, people like this exist and you might have to deal with them again. And so you have to figure out how you're going to do that. I think I just might lose my mind. Whenever I get irritated or upset or whatever, I take a walk or simply walk away. It's just my method of cooling off so I don't end up going insane. However, it would appear that whenever the authority, the woman that gave birth to me, is miserable or heated, I too must be miserable and heated. A perfect example of this would be last week, where I was preparing my lunch in the morning for a volunteering event I was going to later that day. Now, the woman was already upset with me from the previous night for some stupid crap I can't even remember, and it showed all over her face when she came to nag and yell at me in the kitchen. She has this habit of coming at me when I can't exactly leave. Almost all of our arguments take place in the car where I have nowhere else to go. This time, however, I decided to just silently walk into my room and play on my phone until she finished her business in the kitchen. Unsurprisingly, she almost immediately followed me into my room to interrogate me on what I was doing in my own goddamn room. Well, I was waiting for her to get the hell out of the kitchen so I could make a sandwich in peace. But of course, I didn't tell her that. I just said I was playing on my phone. Of course, she forces me back into the kitchen on the premise of finishing making my lunch. And of course, she forces me into an argument which only continues to deteriorate into needless noise and conflict. Things like, "What have you ever done for me? I do so much for you and all I get back is this attitude." It took me a while to come up with a response for this, until I finally thought of, what haven't I done for you? For context, I'm essentially just a regular teenager. I do my chores and I make decent grades, doing just about everything that's expected of someone still under their parents' custody. Yeah, I can be rude and disrespectful, but the really funny thing is, it's only been a problem with her. She's the only one who gets that side of me out of all of my friends and all my teachers. Her idea of rude and disrespectful is me wanting to stay in my room all day to avoid her and other stupid crap like that. Not saying I'm an angel or anything, but she definitely isn't either. There's a law in my state where you can be involuntarily institutionalized if you act crazy, and this has to be the third or fourth time she threatened to use that law and get me locked up in some psych ward or something. I guess me acting crazy was running out of the house barefoot in 50-degree weather was crazy, because the argument escalated so much that I started crying and told her I didn't want to go to the volunteering event anymore because I was so upset. Her response to this was locking me out of my room and telling me that I either go to the event or give up my phone and my room for the rest of the day. Fun fact, she wore my Crocs right after locking me out of my room, so I couldn't even have a pair of shoes to wear. She's so intent on taking absolutely everything away from me. I don't know how to emphasize that fact enough. She wants me to have nothing. I came back from my walk maybe 30 minutes later, unable to even feel my feet. I had keys to the house and my room, but not to the deadbolt on my door. I realized the purpose of it that day. It was to keep me out. This silent standoff between us would continue until the evening. She had told me that I could end it by just giving up my phone, but I didn't want to let her win. Yeah, that sounds stupid, but I'd rather be stupid than given to her satisfaction. Finally, I got sick of waiting and I started hacking away at the deadbolt on my room door with a knife, unscrewing the bolts with the tip and essentially brute forcing my way into the room. I can't tell you the dopamine rush when I finally got back into my room. I don't know why I thought this would stop her, because she'll do just about anything to come back from my throat. But I pushed a dresser in front of my door to keep her out. She just forced her way in, then pushed the dresser back in front of the door, pulled the stool up, sat down, and yeah, another argument started. I watched as she started to destroy my room, throwing all of my clothes on the floor, ripping down everything that was important to me, and telling me to pack my crap and go. Go where was my question. We moved away from all my family and friends back in the summer, so I had no one to turn to. I'm completely isolated here, and she knows that. The authority wants me crawling back at her feet, begging for forgiveness. But I'd rather be a fool than give that to her. I'm not sorry for anything I've done. Maybe I'm wrong for that, but I couldn't care less. She's so bent on me having nothing around her, it's making me sick, and I feel like I'm starting to hate her. There's never been a point where I've called the authority anything but mum. However, I called her a B-word straight to her face after she started tearing down the art in my room walls. That was the only chink in my armor. She was hell-bent on exploiting it. My dad even acknowledged that when he had a family discussion about it later that night, we don't have discussions nor conversations. He couldn't even get a goddamn word in, and I could stop laughing. It's just the woman venting her frustrations and an endless back and forth of I said, she said, I did this, she did that. Nothing is accomplished. And I don't even take it seriously, because I know there's no getting through to her. She won't change. I can understand that my dad is upset because I don't take it seriously, and I, in his words, feed the fire. But there shouldn't even be a fire in the first place, in my opinion. I think my favorite part of this day, the one I can laugh the most looking back on it, was the part where the authority figure threw maybe a 500-page manual straight for my head. I ducked and it hit a glass of water instead, completely shattered it. When I confronted her about it later in the family discussion with Dad, she said, and I quote, I missed on purpose. It may not be feasible, but I looked into the comments a bit. Apparently there are 3 kids, and one of them has already moved away. I don't know American laws or where they are, but hopefully they could leave and go join them. As they say, this fire shouldn't be happening at all. As a parent, you kind of expect that kids are gonna muck up or they're gonna do stupid things, maybe even call you a B word, but there's never any point that you should be throwing a book at them. Only in the a theoretical sense of laying down the law. But yeah, this is completely abusive, and I hope this person can get out of their life as soon as possible. I don't think we really need to discuss much. It's quite obviously abusive and terrible, and I just hope that this person can eventually get out of there. Mum making me take out my savings to travel to her. More context below. So, technically correct. Just a little bit ago, me and my mum were trying to plan how I would come see her, as where I am is 10 hours away in a different state, and she suggested I take some money out of my savings for gas and do the drive, and she will pay me back. So guess what I did? That. Put the savings into my checking, never mind the fact that I only have $300 to my name, and only had $96 in checking and the rest was in savings, so I have to spend $250 on gas. I'm putting this in the entitled parents because of the stuff that she kept saying. I don't remember all of it specifically, but she brought up, well, we drove 9 hours to your graduation, high school, so you can make this, dismissing me whenever I said something, even though she asked, and especially when I kept saying I don't have the money to go shopping or do anything because I'm trying to save up to pay my car insurance in January, $600. And she said, I had it tough too, it's part of growing up. And I told her, hey, please don't try to minimize my situation. After which she blew up on me and telling me that she only had $200 when I was born and how she worked hard and that I'm not the only one who is struggling. I just said, I never said I was, and yes, your situation was worse. That doesn't mean I'm not having a tough time right now. She said verbatim what I had said. No, you were minimizing my experience. And I said, no, I was trying to explain mine and you overshadowed me. And she says, that I did. Then it was a bit quiet, and she started explaining what road to take, etc. And then the love bombing after, saying how much she loves me and she's so proud of me, etc. Ew. I mean, yeah, anyone can be in a tough situation, but you don't have to make it worse by spending all of your money on gas. Like, you're gonna have a tough time and only have $300, but you don't need to spend that $250 on gas when you could wait for a bit, save up some more money, and figure out an easier way of doing this. I don't know. I just wanted to rant because, I don't know, I feel crazy. And she wants me to leave first thing in the morning too, so I'm trying to busy myself packing. Also, I don't live with her or my dad, divorced, anymore. I live with my friend's family, and they have relatives over, so there's no room for me. If I didn't go to my mum's, I would be sleeping in my car for a month. That's how long the college dorms close for during break, and it's $300 extra to stay during. Edit, I said before, she's paying me back for the gas money, which should be the full $250, and she's also said she gives me a bit more just in case. My main issue with her is that she thinks of only herself when talking about me, and frequently tries to struggle more than me and make me feel like crap. And no, I am not willingly going along with this. It's either I stay there or sleep in my car for a month. And if I paid $300 to the dorms, I wouldn't get paid back, but my mother is paying me back for the gas money, and I am getting better in saying no and expressing myself. I was sticking up for myself during the call, even though I was upset. To say that I'm just letting this happen to me is not true. I just have to in this instance. Alright, but I think that's enough of entitled parents today. I know there wasn't many stories, but they were very long. So like the video, subscribe, watch another one, do all that cool stuff, and peace.